Amendment. Going against the stream, it don't matter what race or creed or color. Love this land and you're my brother. That ain't place to know your stand. If you say you can't breathe, I'll show you we can. Ain't never gonna stop believing. We were born for freedom. We were born for freedom.
All right. How y'all doing? Today's gonna be a good show. I have a special guest here from TikTok and Instagram. He was a former U.S. Army infantryman. He now works in IT, also works with kids. He is currently one of the members of the Professorship, which is a group of veterans who are doing collaborations and live streams and debates and discussions. And they're all really fucking good looking. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've got some eye candy for you today. Ladies, you're going to like this guy, but he is married. Guys, you're going to like this guy too. You're going to bro crush on this guy a little bit too. I invited him to the show because I know, as you guys know, because you should have watched it. About a month and a half ago, I completed my Art of War series, and we have moved on to the 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. But when I have the opportunity to speak to somebody who can relate this particular book to not only their own experience in the military, overseas, training, all of that, but also relate this book to patriots who are actually seeing parallels between the concepts of this book and then also what we need to be doing as patriots to go forward and to actually try to save America. This is someone who's already put skin in the game. So without further ado, I want to welcome Professor PAPI. Oh yeah.
Hey, I'm super embarrassed by that introduction now.
Why?
I am not married, by the way. I am not married.
Oh, you're not?
Nope. Not married, not engaged. Nope.
You're not?
No.
Where you say you live?
I am seeing somebody, but I'm not married.
Damn. Okay.
But yeah, I really is an honor to be on your show. I've seen the things you do, and just in your introduction alone, you can see like you are really doing it. Like you're out there getting it.
I have. I haven't put as much skin in the game as you have, but when I heard the call, I answered it. So anyhow, so you have read this book. You say you read it a long time ago. We're going to cover 3 concepts, which I briefed you a little bit about, but I'm going to read a little bit and let you throw in anything from your past, anything from your experiences in the Army, and or you can answer by relating it to what you feel we as patriots need to be thinking about strategically, what we need to be thinking about for our future. So tell us a little bit more about you. Anything that maybe I missed in the intro?
No, I was born and raised in Chicago. Being of the brown skin here, I was a Democrat just because what I was told. It wasn't until I left Chicago and at the age of 26, enlisted in the United States Army, got out and saw the rest of the country that I realized, one, the Democrats don't care about the military. They don't care about vets. They don't take care of us. They cut our budget. They cut our force. They cut our protection, our weaponry. But they just don't align with the values of, family, being, pro-life, and anything really as a Latino, like our cultural beliefs really align more with conservative beliefs. And so once I looked at the economy, inflation, unemployment, how we're doing, and other things, and started relating those into my views on how they're positively impacting the military when they're running the show, I quickly became a conservative.
Absolutely. Okay. Leadership is something that I feel is not just lacking in our country, clearly. Mr. doesn't know who to give a handshake to, Jojo. But
Yep.
it's also lacking in our party. It's lacking in the Maga movement. It's lacking in the conservative movement. And you can see from the video, I don't know everybody. I haven't met every congressperson. I haven't met the heads of every organization, but I've tried to. I've met a lot of people. And I've gotten close or not so close to a lot of organizations. And the frustration that I have on my channel, and my ragers, my audience could attest to this, is that I do not see qualified leadership. What I see is a bunch of influencers whose videos went viral, and now they're starting organizations and companies. And basically what they're doing is asking for donations so they can either fly around the country to do useless events that do nothing to prevent voter fraud, sign up new voters, talk about guerrilla style warfare. They're not doing literally anything except selling t-shirts. And this is a frustration that people on my channel know that I have. I'm done with the talking points. I'm done with praising Candace Owens for how awesome she is. I'm done with buying t-shirts and merch. Like, I'm fucking over it. That's not what's going to help us. And so I've always been trying to come up with action items based on the experiences of my loyalty to some of these organizations and seeing failure after failure after failure. Okay. I am a naturally competitive person. I'm competitive with others, but more importantly, I'm competitive myself. I study psychology quite a bit. I've been in therapy for 2 years. I'm not fucking around. Like, I'm serious. I'm really not fucking around. And I see too many conservative influencers, and that's all they're doing is fucking around. They're saying the same shit over and over and over, but nobody is saying, okay, guys, this is how you infiltrate your enemy's campaign, or this is how you you bring about lawsuits, or this is how you become a registered volunteer voter registrar. Okay, like, nobody's telling these people anything except me. So what I wanted to go over was the qualifications of a commander. So this is, if I can't get through to anyone about anything from this whole book, the absolutely most important concept in this book is knowing your enemy and knowing yourself. And a lot of the patriots are too stupid to even know one or the other. Like wherever the finger points is just where they go. But they don't know themselves. And if you don't know yourself, you definitely can't recognize good leadership when it's there and when it's not. They can't recognize a good commander versus a grifter. They literally cannot see the writing on the wall. And for a long time, I couldn't either. So did you want to say something?
I'm soaking it in right now.
Okay, so quickly, I'm going to read the qualifications of a commander, and then I'm going to read just a little bit from chapter 5, which is strategic military. No. I think that's the wrong one. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, strategic military power, where it also talks about a good general. Okay, so qualifications of a commander: strengths, wisdom, weakness, unenlightened. Strengths, knowledge, credibility. Weakness, brutalizes and fears the masses. Strengths, strictness. Weakness, not strict. Strengths, benevolence. Weakness, loves the people. And I like to translate as appeasing the people. You can love people and not appease them. And that goes back to being strict and disciplined. Strengths, courage. Weakness, committed to life. Strengths, skillful analyst. Weakness, unable to fathom the enemy. Strengths, unconcerned by fame. Weakness, obsessed with achieving fame for purity or vanity. Strengths, unconcerned by punishment, places the army first and tranquil. Weakness, easily angered. There's a lot of patriots who need therapy, I'm telling you. Strengths, self-disciplined. Weaknesses, weak. Strengths, a strong commander. Weakness, a poor commander. Strengths, clever, inventive, having all-encompassing challenges. And this is from chapter 5. In general, in battle, one who engages with the orthodox and gains victory through the unorthodox. Thus, one who excels at sending forth the unorthodox is as inexhaustible as heaven. And I think there was one more thing I wanted to throw. So all of that being, let me see, there was one more thing I think I wanted to read to you. Okay. And this is where I believe the patriots have fallen very, very short. Okay. And this is from chapter 8, which is the 9 changes. And this is talking about poor commanders, poor leadership. Thus, generals have 5 dangerous character traits. One committed to dying can be slain. One committed to living can be captured. One easily angered and hasty to act, trigger happy, can be insulted. One obsessed with being scrupulous and untainted can be shamed. And one who loves the people can be troubled. Now, these 5 dangerous traits are excesses in a general, potential disaster for employing the army. The army's destruction and the general's death will invariably stem from these 5, so they must be investigated. Did you want to share any stories about either great commanders or terrible commanders you've had, or anything that you're seeing currently in the movement?
Well, the funny thing about that is I've found that the best leaders have a little bit of all of that. So nobody wants to rush to their death. But while out there, it's healthy to have a fear of it. As a commander, you need to be thinking about not just your life, but the life of your men. And I think where they get that is, as a leader, as having been a senior non-commissioned officer in the United States Army, you have overseas and back home. And overseas, your number one priority is accomplishment of the mission. And then take care of soldiers is your second priority. When you're stateside, it's the flip. It's take care of soldiers, then accomplishment of the mission. So being able to want to live while also only maintaining a healthy fear of death creates some of the best leaders in a tactical environment, because they have the ability to make split-second decisions, which you're talking about not being too hasty there, but these decisions are made in a split second. Sometimes tactical patience or taking a knee, as we call it, isn't always possible, but you take that split-second decision and you commit to it with violence of action and forward momentum. 99% of the time, you're going to come out on top and you're going to minimize casualties. So what they consider signs of a weak leader and a strong leader, I think you have to kind of have a balance of both in order to even out.
As far as what you see in the conservative movement, and for those of us who are really trying to be active in saving this country, do you think we have any leadership in our movement right now from anyone?
No, I don't. I think right now, the Conservative Party or Republican Party is torn between those who do not want to align with Trump and they want to separate the party from Trump and those that are loyal to the former president. And with those things taking place, nobody's stepping up. And because out of fear of their own political careers, nobody's taking action. No one's taking a stand. No one's leading from the front. You know, we can literally point out in the Democratic Party who the leaders of the Democratic Party are. You know, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Nadler, AOC is the up and coming. We can point them out and identify leaders within their party. Who's leading us? I don't know.
We got we got Matt Gaetz, and Ted Cruz is questionable. That's
Senator Kennedy's bad. He's a bad boy.
He's good. And
he's a little too old.
Jim Jordan's cool, and Josh Hawley. I like Josh Hawley too.
We had somebody that could have been a leader, and we allowed him to exit politics, and that was Trey Gowdy. That was a guy I would have loved to have seen run for president of the United States, or at least been on a VP on a ticket. Trey Gowdy had an immovable moral compass. He was all about the truth. He policed his own, and he wanted people held accountable. And he spoke out all the time, whether people liked it or didn't. You know, because he loved the people. And that's the differentiation between loving the people, and it's kind of like being an NCO. I was not an officer, I wasn't a commander, but I was an NCO, and I was a senior non-commissioned officer. So if something happened to our on-the-ground commander, then I would take over. Is just because I love you doesn't mean I'm going to do what you want. Doesn't mean that I'm going to appease you.
Appeasement, yeah. You know, we discipline those we love, and we hold those we love accountable. If we don't give a fuck about them, then we'll just let them run wild, just like
being a parent. And that's what being a leader in the United States Army is, and people don't understand in the military. You're not a manager. Like when you go into these jobs, when you get out and you go interview for a management job, and you can kind of tell they're thinking maybe you're not qualified or this isn't for you. And it's like, do you know what we do in the Army as managers or supervisors? Like, when's the last time your employee you got a call because your employee got a DUI? When's the last time you got a call at 2:00 in the morning because one of your employees and his wife were getting in an argument? You had to go over there and stop it, or pick a guy up from the police station. When's the last time you had to run 5 miles because some employee made a mistake? Like, we literally are like their parents. That's why when it's a platoon sergeant, they would the platoon leader, who's the officer, is mommy, and the platoon sergeant, who was me, is daddy. And those are all our children in the platoon, because it's like being a parent.
Absolutely. It's funny you should bring that up. Quick side note, guys, make sure that you're following me on Instagram. I am at RedPillTV1. I am reading this book right now called It's Your Ship: Management Techniques from the Best Damn Ship in the Navy. I'm about to read, maybe I'll do chapter 4 tonight or tomorrow. But everything that you just said, Papi, and then a lot of things that I've experienced in my career as a chef very closely coincide with this. It is babysitting. It is fucking babysitting. Wanted to move on to planning offenses. That is chapter 3. So one thing, the second biggest concept that I'm trying to get through to my audience from this book, and Robert Greene talks about it a lot in his book, The 33 Strategies of War, is observation and temperance. Like, part of knowing yourself and knowing the enemy is knowing what you need and knowing what they need, knowing what your strengths are, knowing what their strengths are, knowing what your weaknesses are, so you can find the right people to delegate certain things to, so that collectively you can be strong, and then knowing their weaknesses so that we can hit them when they're down, right? So let me just read this a little bit to you. In general, the method of employing the military is this: preserving the enemy's state capital is best. Destroying their state capital is second best. Preserving their army is best. Destroying their army is second best. Preserving their battalions is best. Destroying their battalions is second best. Preserving their companies is best. Destroying their companies is second best. Preserving their squads is best. Destroying their squads is second best. For this reason, attaining 100 victories in 100 battles is not the pinnacle of excellence. Subjugating the enemy's army without fighting is the true pinnacle of excellence. One who knows he can fight, and when he cannot fight, will be victorious. One who recognizes how to employ large and small numbers will be victorious. One whose upper and lower ranks have the same desires will be victorious. One who, fully prepared, awaits the unprepared will be victorious. One whose general is capable and not interfered with by the ruler will be victorious. These are the five way, the Tao to know victory. One who knows neither the, okay, let me start over. Thus it is said that one who knows the enemy and knows himself will not be endangered in 100 engagements. One who does not know the enemy but does know himself will sometimes be victorious, sometimes met with defeat. One who knows neither the enemy nor himself will invariably be defeated in every engagement. If that ain't a spanking for the Patriots, I don't know what is. What are your thoughts?
All right. Well, I'm gonna lay it out for you pretty clear here. First off, you always need to know your enemy, but you have to. So in the military, one of the things that we do when we do an op board is, we create a scheme of maneuver, and in that you're analyzing the enemy. Where are their strongholds? Where are their weaknesses? Where are we going to attempt to infiltrate from along the route? What are we going to do if this happens? You're analyzing, and then you plan. You basically plan the mission backwards. You plan the mission from where you would seize the objective backwards, and then you turn there and flip it and pretend to be the enemy. You don't create a straw man target. You sit there and act like you're the enemy, and you want to destroy your platoon. And that allows you to expose their strengths, their weaknesses, as well as your own, and then to plan accordingly. And that's a big deal. Now, one of the things that makes the United States military one of the most dangerous fighting forces in the world is that a good plan is great. And the second you leave the wire, it goes to shit. So there's a lot of adaptability, and that's why we train the muscle memory and we train the doctrine so much that we can react without thinking, or at least use that doctrinal training in such a quick fashion to make those split-second decisions. And again, commit to them with violence of action and forward momentum, and you will come out on top. But here in this country, honestly, this government's destroying our military for us. So that aspect isn't really on us. But they're softening the soldiers, they're lessening the standards, they're kicking out anybody who is actually a real patriot and who takes their oath to the Constitution over a person in a position. They're getting rid of them. They're forcing people out over a jab. They're killing our military for us. That's one. Two, communication. It's our biggest weakness as patriots. If we were ever to come to that point, do you think that TikTok's going to allow us to talk on TikTok? Do you think it would be smart to talk on TikTok? Instagram, Facebook? You think they're not monitoring cell phones? What means of communication do we have? If you can cut an enemy off from communication with each other, you've won the battle right there. So there's a few things that you have to analyze when looking to overcome a situation that would take place in this country, and that's communication and supplies. If you can cut off communication and you can cut off supplies, you have won. You have won. So that is the biggest issue for patriots to prepare for, is to start thinking of ways to communicate, and not just communicate locally, but communicate across the state border to another one, regions. How, if it ever came to that, would we be able to communicate with each other? We're going to go back to riding horses and having messengers like the Raiders.
Signals.
Yeah. Like, what are we going to do? Honestly, think about it. If it hit the fan today, how could I talk to you? How could I talk to you, Red Pill? All the government monitored social media platforms and technology devices? How am I going to talk to you? How am I going to get my 3%ers here in Georgia talking with the 3%ers in Texas? If you cut off the supply routes, how am I going to get, as I like to call them, freedom seeds and pew-pews to my people over here? How am I going to get food to the people over here? How am I going to get protective gear like body armor? How are we going to get personnel from one place to another? How are we going to get them from training to employment? Our biggest lacking is communication and supply chain. Next comes leadership, which we talked about there. We don't have any leaders. Now, I'm sure if it went to that route, where we were out there fighting for our freedoms, you have a lot of NCOs, you have a lot of officers, a lot of good ones, a lot of patriots that have nothing to do with politics that would probably step up and be phenomenal leaders. But those are by precedence in order are the three biggest things we would face: communication, supply, leadership.
That reminded me of something that was written in chapter 12, which is called Incendiary Attacks. There were 5 types of incendiary attack. The first is to incinerate men, the second to incinerate provisions, the third to incinerate supply chains, the fourth to incinerate armories, and the fifth to incinerate formations. Whew. The last concept that I wanted to talk about with you is my favorite chapter, which is employing spies. And since nobody will work with me, I decided to employ myself as a spy. So I've been keeping tabs on Beto O'Rourke's campaign. And there's really not much more I can do because I am moving to Florida in the next couple of months. So I think that my time here in Texas is coming to an end, unfortunately, because I do like it here. I really do, but I would like it better there.
Stop off in Georgia.
Huh?
Stop off in Georgia. Come say hi.
I will. Fat Jew is doing an event in Georgia. Maybe you can come to it. Do you know about it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I'll send you the information for that. I don't know how far, what city it's in or anything like that. Employing spies. And I think this is where the patriots are most scared, because you see Antifa has no problem employing spies on us.
Mm-hmm.
Like none.
No.
But for whatever reason, we're too haughty. We're too stuck up. We're too, we don't have the time. It's like, dude, there's so many unemployed patriots. Like, send them. But then again, go ahead.
You hit it right there. We have too much pride. You know why the liberals and the wokeness and the craziness is getting and taking over? Because they are out there in the streets, in masses. They are doing stuff that is literally domestic terrorism. Mm-hmm. They have committed so many felonies and atrocities. Murder, arson, assault with a deadly weapon, hate crimes, everything. They're out there in the streets. Now, do we need to go out and destroy everything? No. But do we need to take to the streets? Do we need to protest? Do we need to show up at people's houses and freaking say, we're not leaving your front lawn, Governor so-and-so or Mayor so-and-so, like Lightfoot up in Chicago, that Beetlejuice looking? Yeah, we need to be there.
I went to her house. I went to her house. I went to her house. I did.
That's where you need to be. If you're down here in Georgia, we need to be at Stacey Abrams, because you are a woman who said that there was you lost an election, claimed it was stolen, then are in charge of running Georgia's voting stuff in an election, allowing counters to wear Biden-Harris face masks while counting ballots, and then tell us that there's no way an election could be stolen, yet won't concede that you didn't have yours stolen. Why is Stacey Abrams allowed to even be in politics? You are nobody. Why is she there? Nope, I'm going to go protest at her house. I want her to protest at her house until she comes out and says, fine, my election wasn't stolen. Or agree that Trump's was. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One or the other. But we need to be out there doing what these liberals are doing in order to get our voices heard. And that's it. You know who we need to preach to? It's not the Black community. It's not the Latino community. We need to go preach to white people. The Black population is 13% of the population. The Black population can't win an election. Not to mention the fact that the voter turnout within the Black population is even less. And then account for people that aren't of voting age, it's even less.
Yeah, exactly.
We
Exactly.
need to go and appeal to all these white guilt-feeling Karen liberals who are the ones actually causing the elections to turn.
Exactly. You get a slay for that one.
We need to go educate them as people of color. I love getting in debates with people like Good Trouble. He cites a whole lot of stuff on TikTok. You know who he is. And I said, there's a white guy. And he's all about BLM and oppression and systemic racism. And everybody hates the alphabet people and the elemental P's. And I was on there and I was like, really, man? So what is it that's systemically in place to keep people of color down, man? I would really like to know, brother.
Yeah, name one. Just give me one. Give me one example. Give me one law. Give me one law. And they of course they can't.
What do they go to? Well, I'll tell you one law they do go to if they actually go to a law, and it's Joe Biden's crime bill. I go, you mean the guy that you put in office? Well, I didn't want him. I wanted Bernie. So you wanted a commie and you hate freedom. That's what you're saying. They're like, I'm like, I'm a person of color. I own 2 homes. I drive a $72,000 truck. I have a college education. In fact, I remember before the Army, that's why I finished it while I was in. I went to college prior to. And I said, I went there and they were like, wait a minute. You're Latino and Black and you're left-handed and you play the saxophone. Holy shit. Dude, we have a scholarship just for Latino Black left-handed saxophone players. You think I paid for college? I sure did not pay for college. I had a scholarship to play music, and I wasn't even in their band. I didn't even do music as a major, but I still got a scholarship for it. Why? And I was like, so please explain to me again, and you, Mr. White person, tell me how poor darky over here can't do things and why it's your fault and not my own. Mm-hmm. And he was like, that's not what I'm saying, bro. I'm like, oh no, that's exactly what you're saying, is being very patronizing, and actually you're being racist right now.
Yeah. I'm writing about this in my book, and you guys, most people call it white guilt syndrome or whatever, white fragility. No.
Behavior, white fragility, Karen.
Whatever. I call it. So and you better credit me if you ever use this. Okay. I made this shit up. This is a Red Pill Rage original. I call it the Patty Hearst syndrome.
Ooh.
Yes. I call it the Patty Hearst syndrome. And it's where do-gooders, whether through mind control or Stockholm syndrome or just... All right, let me preface it by saying I grew up in Los Angeles, and there's a lot of rich girls who want to be bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Same in Chicago.
There's a lot of rich girls who want to be bad. You know, there's a lot of rich girls who want to rebel against their parents, rebel against traditionalism, rebel against whatever. I guess you could say Prince Harry kind of has it too. Kind of has a little Patty Hearst syndrome in him too. And that's where a lot of this comes from. And that's where like this idea of, oh, I've got to be an ally. No, the fuck you don't. And what is an ally? You know, dumbing people down does not make you an ally. It makes you an enabler of bad behavior. Excusing criminal activity because of something that happened 100-something years ago or 60 years ago is not making you an ally. It makes you an enabler. Because it makes you feel good to say, see, I can hang out with the little people, you know? But anyway.
I called it white supremacy. I said, that is white supremacy.
That is white supremacy.
Exactly. The fact that you think that you somehow can affect the outcome of my life in any way is white supremacy.
Or even have the audacity to try to interfere with the outcome based on that. You see, I don't experience that because in my career, I've been bossing white people around my whole career. Yeah. I ain't never had nobody. And the thing is, like, people ask me, you know, well, why did you want to become a chef? Well, because when I was young, I saw Gordon Ramsay on TV and I said, I want to be like him. And I didn't need a female Gordon Ramsay to inspire me to pursue that career. And I didn't need a Gordon Ramsay of color to inspire me to pursue that career. I said, that looks fun. That looks cool. I could do that myself. And obviously, I don't own restaurants around the world. And I sure as fuck wouldn't want to, because a lot of things, one thing people don't know about Gordon Ramsay is a lot of his restaurants have failed too, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, I didn't need someone of my type or someone who looked like me. There is no one who looks like me who is a successful chef. There is no one.
You just need someone to embody what you would like to be.
It was his personality and the creativity of how he was manipulating food that got me excited to pursue that career. It had nothing to do with him being white, British, male, cis, heterosexual, none of that. None of that.
I like to eat food. I like to eat food a lot.
Well, yeah, me too. I like to cook a lot. I'll cook if I could cook for the whole neighborhood, I would. Trust me.
But look at our own culture though. Like people tell me all the time, man, dude, the army whitewashed you. How so? Well, look at you, man. You talk all white now. Like I'm educated.
Like I can read.
Because I'm not out here talking the way y'all talk in the streets. I'm like, me and my cousin are the same age, grew up in the exact same circumstances, literally lived in the same house in the beginning on the south side of Chicago. Why is he living with his mom in the basement? And why am I living the way I'm living? Accountability.
Choices, integrity.
And accountability.
Goals, motivation, things like that. You know, those little things like motivation and goal setting and mindset, little things like mindset, you know, maybe, I don't know.
No. It's because, you know, I'm just one of those breakthrough cases like COVID from, you know, vaccinated people. My experiences don't account for anything. He's the norm, but he's the norm because of the mentality that we have and we allow ourselves to believe. And because Karens tell us it's okay. It's okay. It's not your fault. No, it's 100% my fault. That's the difference. You take accountability for what you do in life. You feel they take away. I hate it. They take away the ability of people to fail forward and grow.
Yeah.
Your biggest lessons learned in life are through your failures, not your successes. The more I can fail at something, the better I can get, and the more I can grow, and I will be better for it. And you are taking that away by making excuses for why I failed.
I've been failing and getting up and dusting myself off my whole life. I've made so many mistakes in my life, but I'm not afraid to admit it. And look at me now. I'm happy. Why? Personal accountability, becoming a conservative woman, letting go of the victimhood mindset, taking charge of my finances, taking charge of my credit, you know, working really, I've always been a hard worker, you know, getting really serious about myself, getting as serious about myself as I was serious about fighting the man. If you stop fighting the man for a minute and you use that same energy to get serious about getting your life in order, getting organized, getting on a budget, setting your goals, getting fucking therapy if you need it. Hello, getting fucking mental help if you need it, getting support if you need it, learning better communication skills if you need it, learning better coping skills if you need it so you can move forward in life. I was never a bad person. I was never a lazy person, but my mindset was all fucked up. Anyway, let's go ahead and finish up with employing spies. This is my favorite chapter.
Yeah, it would be.
Secret Agent Jenny Redpill.
Redpill Rage, Secret Agent.
Yes. The means by which enlightened rulers and sagacious generals moved and conquered others, that their achievements surpassed the masses, was advanced knowledge. And that goes back to knowing yourself and knowing your enemy. Listen very closely, Patriots, when I say this. This is why I'm telling y'all, stop following behind these damn grifters. And you're going to understand why. Advanced knowledge cannot be gained from ghosts and spirits, inferred from phenomena, or projected from the measures of heaven, but it must be gained from men, for it is the knowledge of the enemy's true situation. There are 5 types of spies to be employed: the local spy, internal spy, turned spy, double agent, dead expendable spy, and the living spy. When all 5 are employed together and no one knows their Tao, this is termed as spiritual methodology. They are a ruler's treasures. Local spies employ people from the local district. Internal spies employ their people who hold government positions. Double agents employ the enemy's spies. Expendable spies are employed to spread disinformation throughout the state, provide our expendable spies with false information, and have them leak it to the enemy agents. Living spies return with their reports. You have any thoughts on that?
I do. I agree 100%. We employ these tactics all the time. In the military, we have psyops. They literally are responsible for basically spreading propaganda. The problem that we as patriots face with that is there's not enough time. When this happens, and I do believe if we're ever going to happen, it's rapidly approaching the time, the action will have to be taken. Those seeds are grown over time. The best bet that we have is to use, double agents or spies we can turn. And the only way we can do that is by identifying patriots within those organizations. My intelligence, your intelligence will never be better than the CIA's or any other 3-letter agency because of the technology and backing that they have. However, identifying those local or internal patriots inside that work in those agencies and then coaching them on how to maybe flip some others to the other side would allow us to gain a lot of knowledge. And spies are intel. Spies are somewhat a thing of the past, but it's intel, and nothing is more valuable than reliable intel. If you know the enemy's coming this way, then you're going to go that way. If you don't know where they're coming from, you got a 50-50 chance to pick the right one. And if you go that way, you'll be all right. And if you go that way, well, we know what that means. So intel is everything. That'll tie in with supply because you'll get stuff on their supply routes, stuff that you might need. You'll know if they know where yours is coming from, so you can change your routes. And you need to do it last minute. So there's a lot of stuff that it could employ, but at this point, I think we just need to identify those patriots because there are patriots in those organizations, and there are patriots in the military still. There's a damn lot of patriots in law enforcement. But it is a crucial role. I mean, even on a much smaller level of getting involved in a campaign for a local official or a congressman or senator, getting involved, trying to work hard, work your way up, get in there. Those guys get staff jobs for those people when they get elected. That would be tons of intel coming from there, especially if they get put on any special committees, anything like that. There's a lot you could expose from that, but it takes time, effort. And again, basically what he chalked that up to was this doesn't come from wishful thinking. Action has to be taken, and these things need to be employed. And he's 100% correct. We just have to identify how to go about it as patriots, and you can start locally, or you can look to identify people through other means. Look at organizations like the 3%ers. A lot of them are active duty military and or law enforcement or retired. And if they're out, they still got buddies in. There's ways to figure out who's a patriot and who's not without doing anything incriminating. But that's pretty much all I got on that one.
Tell everyone how to find you, Papi.
So right now, my Instagram is still my old TikTok, the Conservative Latino 83. I'm about to change it to the Professor Papi. You can find me on TikTok at Professor Papi or El Professor Papi 2 because I lose accounts plenty, so I always got to have a backup going. But I touch a lot more on political content there, and I'm starting to venture off and do some work with veterans on the 22 a day. I've gotten into a circle that's really active in that community. So yeah, if you appreciate veterans, first responders, if you want to hear real news that's not changed or you're being lied to, I do all my research mostly from global news. So hit me up on any of those platforms. I appreciate the support and the follows. And I'm really grateful to have been on your show. I love your stuff, by the way. I was really fangirling over here when you messaged me on Instagram.
I didn't know you knew who I was, so I'm fangirling too.
I did. I followed you back because you got a new one with less followers. The last time I followed you, you had more followers, and the time before that, you had more.
More, yeah.
Yeah. So you probably didn't notice that I followed you, but I did. I knew who you were.
That's so cool. All right. Well, thank you for your time. I'm going to end the broadcast, but stay in for a second.
Sure.